Nachos, and happy Cinco de Mayo to everybody out there. I'm your host, Chris Dotson. You're watching Major League Minor, the only show that's going to broadcast semi-pro football within the Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, Texas areas. And let's go ahead and get started. Last week was almost a total washout with all the impending storms. There were a few places that it was like monsoon season. Fields were completely saturated, unplayable, including some of the folks up in Ponca City, all the way down to Rush Springs and everywhere in between. It was just total chaos and madness. So a lot of the games had to be postponed for a later date or just completely canceled. So no bueno on that one, but hey, what can I say? Athletic directors are looking out for their fields, and I don't blame them. So last week being a complete wash except for two games, one in the XFL, one in the CFL, and of course, 3 games, and the last one with the Oklahoma City Bounty Hunters down in Noble. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Let's start with the XFL. Last week in the XFL, there was only one game played, so let's go ahead and get right into it and give you the details. Week 8 XFL scores brought to you by Light 'em Up Video Productions. Last week was literally almost a total wash with all the impending storms that really drenched everybody. So all of the other games will be scheduled and postponed, of course, due to the weather. All except for the Oklahoma City Jaguars Oklahoma Chargers game that happened in Okmulgee. Originally, the score was 6-0 Jaguars, but due to protest brought to you by both teams, it ended up in a 0-0 tie due to technicalities. So with that, we got to go into this week's rankings. Not a whole lot of change, but here are this week's rankings. Week 9 XFL rankings brought to you by Thunder Bail Bonds. Thunder providing bail bond service to Oklahoma City and its surrounding areas. 24-hour bail bond service. Call now, 405-235-0002. There's absolutely no change in the standings except for the Jaguars and, of course, the Chargers, both sharing a tie. So all of your rankings are identical to last week's. So with the Oklahoma Monarchs at number 1 and, of course, the Wichita Wolfpack coming in at number 10. And that'll bring us to this week's matchups in the XFL. Week 9 XFL matchups and predictions brought to you by Defender Sports. Defender, the official uniform manufacturer for the Major League Minor show. This week's going to feature the Oklahoma Chargers traveling all the way down to Prague to face off against the Oklahoma Red Wolves. I think the Red Wolves are going to take this one pretty easily by a score of 21-3. Next up is going to be the Oklahoma City Elite facing off against the Oklahoma Nightmare all the way down in Rush Springs. The Nightmare are having a hard time this year as they've only been able to play 2 games this year and haven't really had a chance to gel. Unfortunately for them, I see the Elite going to take this one by a score of 21-7. And then the Oklahoma Jaguars are going to travel all the way up to Kansas to face off against the Cougars. The Cougars are really trying to make a run for the money. They're going to win this one by a score of 35-7. And that'll bring up this week's Game of the Week. This week's Game of the Week is going to feature the Oklahoma Executioners traveling to Yukon to play the Bobcats. This is going to be a tight game. It could go either way, but I think the Bobcats are going to get away with it in the fourth quarter by a score of 17-14. We're going to come right back. We're going to talk about what's going on in the Central Football League, about last week and this week.
Whether it's 3 in the morning or 3 in the afternoon, Thunder Bail Bonds is here for you. We understand that you are facing one of the most difficult situations you or your loved ones may have ever dealt with. We will do everything in our power to make sure you or your loved ones are released from jail as soon as possible. Thunder Bail Bonds is the highest reviewed bail bonds company in the Oklahoma City metro area. Give us a call today to find out why, or check out our additional videos and content. Call your always timely, professional, and courteous bail bondsman, Frank DeLoger, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
We're back. Let's talk about the Central Football League. So last week, unfortunately, there was only one game played because of all the storms. So let's go ahead and get right into last week's scores and explain a little bit about what's going on also. Week 8 CFL scores brought to you by Light 'em Up Video Productions. Last week was almost a total wash, with the only game played was the Arkansas Ducks facing off against the West Central Warriors. And as you see, the Warriors smoked the Ducks by a score of 26-0. All other games were forfeit wins in the CFL. So here's this week's rankings. Week 9 CFL rankings brought to you by Lightning Bail Bonds. Get out in a flash with Lightning. So this week we're going to see not too much of a change. Still at number 1, the 6-0 Arkansas Battle. At number 2, the Tri-City Panthers, followed by the number 3 Joplin Crusaders, the Enid Enforcers, the Arkansas Guardians, number 6 Dallas Bulldogs, the Arkansas Extra, Bandits, Queen City Grizzlies, and rounding up the top 10 are the Kansas City Saints. That'll bring up the DCFL rankings this week. At number 1, still at number 1, the 7-1 Muskogee Bulldogs, followed by the 5-3 West Central Warriors. At number 3, the Arkansas Ducks. Number 4, the Arkansas Steelers. Coming in at number 5, the Green Country Phoenix, followed by the Tornadoes, Raptors, and Gravediggers. So let's get right into this week's matchups. There's no rain forecasted, well, anything significantly, for this week, so I think it's pretty safe to say we've got a few good matchups this week. Week 9 CFL and DCFL matchups and predictions brought to you by Defender Sports. Defender, the official uniform manufacturer for the Major League Minor Show. This week is going to feature the Arkansas Tornado facing off against the Green Country Phoenix. The Phoenix, I think, are going to take away with this one at home easily by a score of 21-0. Next, we're going to see a CFL versus DCFL matchup. Two of the top contenders in each league. The Enid Enforcers, of course, I think are going to run away with this one by a score of 35-7 against the Warriors. The Queen City Grizzlies are going to travel all the way down to Springdale to face off against the Arkansas Battle. I think the Battle are battle-proven, battle-tested, and battle-ready, and are going to win this one by a score of 35-7. That game is going to be live-streamed here at MajorLeagueMinor.com. Check out the scores, and, of course, check out the live stream on the website. And that'll bring up this week's Game of the Week. This week's Game of the Week is going to feature, in the DCFL, the Arkansas Steelers facing off against the Arkansas Ducks. This is going to be a great Little Rock matchup, but I think the Steelers are too scrappy for the Ducks and are going to win this one by a score of 21-7. And that'll bring up another DCFL versus CFL matchup. The Muskogee Bulldogs are going to face off against the Tri-City Panthers. This is going to be a great matchup, but I think the Panthers are going to be a little bit too much for the Dog Pound this week, as they're going to win it by a score of 28-14. We'll be right back again, and after our special message, we're going to go ahead and get right into the Oklahoma City Bounty Hunters.
Light them up again, baby. Light them up, baby! Light them up!
Welcome back. So last week was one of 3 games played in the, of course, the Oklahoma City Bounty Hunters playing in Noble. So let's go ahead and get to last week's score. Last week, Oklahoma City Bounty Hunters score brought to you by Light 'em Up Video Productions. It was the Louisiana Vipers that came down to Noble to play against the Oklahoma City Bounty Hunters. It was a close game in the first half, but the Bounty Hunters pulled away with your final score 35-12. And that'll bring up this week's matchup with the Oklahoma City Bounty Hunters. This week's APDFL matchup brought to you by Defender Sports. Defender, the official uniform manufacturer for the Major League Minor Show. This week is going to feature the Oklahoma City Bounty Hunters facing off against the Alabama Falcons. This is the APDFL Game of the Week, as the Bounty Hunters are going to travel all the way to Pritchard, Alabama. This is going to be a 7 o'clock kickoff, and it's going to be a really tight game. As you can see, my prediction is only 21-17, and it could go either way. Depending on how the Bounty Hunters travel, this one might get away from them, or they're going to stack it heavy, travel down there really good, and come away with a victory going into next week. And that's our show, folks. Next week, we're going to have all sorts of fun stuff going on. Remember now, of course, the battle game is going to be broadcasted live on MajorLeagueMiner.com. Don't miss that one. And until next week, folks, I'm Chris Dotson reminding you to go watch some football.